Well, today we got a very special guest joining us. You know him as a longtime member of Hillsong United, a powerful worship leader, and one of the voices behind some of the most amazing worship songs of our time. We have Matt Crocker with us today, and he's stepping out into a new season with his debut solo album, Interlude, dropping on the 27th. We're diving into the heart behind his new project, what inspired the sound, and what it's like to step out as a solo artist after years of ministry and music. Matt, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Hey, Jacob. Good to be here.
Yeah. So we like to go to artist Instagram pages from time to time and just look at some of the funny stuff. We like to have fun. And we saw a post that you did. I don't know. You did a post of old family photos. And you like, I guess you revived them, and it was pretty interesting to see some of these. I'm 41, so a lot of those, it was before my time. Some of the pictures that you had on there. But my mom, Sarah, a few years back, she had all these home videos on VHS and converted them I come from there's 5 of us. And so she converted them to DVD for us. And so now we have all of these old VHS tapes from the early 90s and 80s on DVD. And so it's fun to show my kids now my childhood. So
yeah, I was like, it's something I've wanted to do for years, but like our family had, I don't know, we were kind of estimating when I was in the shop. They're like, oh, we think maybe there's about 800 photos in there, and so they figured out a price per thing. I go pick them up. The photos, when there was just photos, they were like, no, there was 1,400. I was like, oh no. And then the scans, we thought there was maybe 1,000. Oh, the scans of the little slides. Remember the slide machine where you click it along? It went from 1,000 to 2,500. So how much, and they'd already done the work. So I was like, I guess I got to pay that then. So, but it was so worth it, man. It's family photos, as if you don't want those like forever. Yeah. And they were just deteriorating. So, but so fun. Like there's some crazy photos in there. Like there's like Queen Elizabeth. Like I don't know. I think my grandparents were in London or something, and then Billy Graham doing his crusade down here back in 50, whatever it was. Pretty wild.
Yeah. Now, I'm assuming all of those were in black and white, and you just put them in color, correct?
No, unless they changed it. Most of them were color.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I love to look at old photos, and of course VHSs. It's fun to convert those into DVD players. But
yeah.
Well, Matt, you are releasing a solo album, debut solo album on the 27th called Interlude. I've heard the project. I love it. And so we're here today to talk about that. So tell us about Interlude.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to make an album. I just want to make some music. It was, like I had a friend. I feel like I tell this story over and over again. His name's Chris, and he was like, man, you got to do something. In regards to like a solo thing. And I was always like, I'm not doing that. It's just not what I do. Because I was rolling around with my best friends in the world, making music, doing worship already. I was like, why would I want to do that? But deep down, probably really did want to do something that was kind of just on me to do. Like it was, songs that could only have come from me. The sound, I guess. And so it was, I guess, COVID came and showed itself to the world, and we were kind of locked away and couldn't see all our friends and do the things we'd normally done. And so for me, it was just being like, well, I'm going to choose to press into God here, and trust him, like be hopeful throughout all this and just know there's another side to this. But what have I got in my hands? And like, I've always made music. So I was like, well, I can do that. I've got some speakers and a little setup here. Let's do that. I started writing with a guy, Aaron, who felt like a kid at the time. He was like 20 years old. But now he just seems to be kind of doing music with all of us, and he's just unbelievable at what he does. So we started making music, and kind of just turned into like, oh, well, there's maybe there is something here. So we just wrote, I think it was like 100 songs, but like not completely finished. Some of them were not fully fleshed out, but in our inbox, it was about 100 songs. And it just became clear, like, there's a collection of songs. And so we kind of were like, well, let's put this together and make an album. So it was really fun, man. I missed being in the studio, kind of all those things that, like, I guess God put those little passions in me about making music and doing stuff with my friends and that. It was just that, and Interlude, the name kind of is what it is. It's that in-between space between like, okay, well, this has been my life, and now what's the future look like? And I guess we all find ourselves there at some point or another, or multiple times throughout our life, having to trust God. I think of the disciples waiting for the Holy Spirit, from Jesus' ascension to the Holy Spirit, and they wait, and they were in the upper room just praying and, essentially just doing life together and just trusting God. And so for me, it was similar. I was like maybe my own little upper room space where I was just trusting God and pressing into music as a way of connecting with God's presence.
Yeah. Now, will the world ever get to hear those other songs that you said there was about 100? So
they're not all fleshed out. I'm making it sound like I'm like this unbelievable, like
Prince.
Yeah, I'm just so good. Some of them are horrible, so no, some of them you'll never hear. Some of them are like we've done and like maybe might put them out. Originally I was like, I want 10 songs. So I don't know why 10, but it just sounded like the right thing. That's turned into 11 because one of them was going to be a secret track. And it's like, how do you do a secret track anymore? You just can't.
Yeah.
We would have made it 11. But there's probably like 3 or 4 that we've fully done that are like, yeah, we might put them out at some stage. And then there's a bunch where it's like, well, these won't work for this. But like, I still long to kind of just do to write songs, because this album to me doesn't necessarily lend itself to like the typical kind of like thing I've written like for like Sunday mornings where like I'm still leading, so I know what those songs need to be. Like they've got to be songs that aren't overly complicated, but they can just engage everyone in the room. And I've got a bunch of songs like that where I'm like, well, I want to use these songs as well. And I like my heart's desire is just to be in rooms with people like chasing after God. And so like I've got all these other songs that I want to do in that regard. But this for me was just like, I've been saying it's like out of the box, but it's like, it's not like that crazy out of the box, but it's definitely like, it's not going to work. Like, I'm not going to lead these songs necessarily like in that setting where it's like, I'm trying to get everyone on the page, because half the people will be like, what's going on? Like this song makes no sense. So I don't know. I just wanted to make music, bro. And I feel like God's put that in me and I just stepped into it.
Now, speaking of different, I did listen a few weeks ago. They said, do you know Joel Houston released his own solo stuff? And I was like, no. And they sent me the link, and I didn't even know where he got the name for this group or whatever it is. And I listened to it and I was like, no.
No one does. I'm like, what? Maybe I wouldn't have either. Amen. So the X is just an E, I guess. Amen Radio.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Talk about a different sound. That's a different sound for sure.
Yeah. That's just him, man. Like we all grew up, like there's always music that we all love that we did united, and we took some license there to make like stuff that was kind of just uniquely us. But there's so much in us that's like, well, we can't really do that because it's like, I don't know, it's just not going to work for what we're doing. But now there's like, well, let's actually all just do the things we're meant to be doing as well on the sides. Like, why wouldn't we do that? And we can come back together at whatever stage that happens and keep making music again. Like watching Jolie, like it was the same thing for Joel. Like as far as I know, like just locked away on his own, like making music, couldn't be with his friends, what he's done normally. And so he just he got behind the tools and was like, oh, okay, this is how this works. And this is how you record this. And he just started making songs, and it was songs like that he's always talked about making. Like it's not like the sound he's got is, I've heard him talk about it for years. So it's not like just on a whim. It was like something he's longed to do. And I guess it's like just one long prayer. That's why there's like long songs that sometimes don't even really make normal sense as far as what we know as songs, but there's something so artistic about the way they weave in and out of each other. And it's ultimately just one long prayer, I think. And it was cool being a part of it, man. Like I just was like inserting myself in there. I was like, what if you use this song? So I just wanted to be a part of what he was doing. I've got him all throughout mine as well. Like he helped me with my album. So it's like, in a way, it was like we got to kind of do the same thing we've always done, but more just kind of working on each other's projects.
Sure. Now, my favorite song on the album is Jesus. Could you tell us about that song?
Yeah. That was the idea behind that originally. It was kind of like this Johnny Cash sounding thing. I had this electric guitar. I was just playing this fast thing, and I think it was the chorus that I had. It's fun because I got the memo on my phone, so it's fun to listen to. And then I don't know if I was like on a piano or something, and I started playing it. I realized it had this hymn feel to it. I was like, well, this just feels like something I've heard forever, but it feels like its own thing. Like my description is like, it's almost like your favorite vintage band tee that was just made yesterday. Like it's this thing that's just kind of, it feels old, but it's not, like it feels now as well. And so I kind of was just like, it was like all the names of Jesus and who he is and what he represents for me. And like, it kind of wrote itself really quickly. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to overcomplicate it. Very straight up, like this is who Jesus is, this is who he is to me. And so, and then sonically, it was kind of like I wanted it to feel. It's funny because it had like 3 lives. Originally, it was just an acoustic. Then I think it had like we had this like kind of Beach Boys vocal thing going on with it. And then my brother-in-law, who's an absolute genius, was like, well, let's put drums on it. I was like, it doesn't want drums. It doesn't want drums. In my mind, it's like just a big like organ or something. And then I went away and he somehow meshed 3 different, like fully fleshed out ideas of the song. He's like, I got to show you something. Like, it's like, don't, like he'll never send me something without me being with him because he wants to be able to explain stuff. But I sat there and listened to it. I was like, I can't believe like, because most of the songs, like we had skeletons of what the songs kind of were going to be, like sound wise. Me and Aaron, the guy I was talking about before, really fleshed out like the demos and made them sound kind of how we wanted. Then Mikey just elevated everything with his production genius. But this song was like kind of all like scattered thoughts and he really just brought it all together. And I was like, that is so like, I don't know. I just loved how it sounded. I was like, it was really cool. The drums, I was like, I didn't want drums on there. Now it's like, I couldn't imagine it without them. It's got that kind of old, like, I don't know if it's like a Ringo Starr kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
There's Mellotron in there. So there's like a bit of like a feeling of like, it doesn't sound like the Beatles, but you know what I mean? It's like all these little references and stuff that I've grown up loving. There's just stuff weaved in there.
Yeah. Now, what about watch the video of the live version filmed on a roof? That's pretty interesting. A lot of artists, don't do that. The last person that I remember doing a full concert on a roof was Corey Asbury during COVID. And that was pretty cool. But tell us about that.
It was so cold. It was freezing. There's one video. There's this song we're going to release like a little while after or maybe like a month or 2 after the album comes out. And we went down and had dinner. We came back up and there was condensation, like water just on everything. Like within like 40 minutes of not being up there, we came back up, the guitars covered in it, microphones. It was just so funny. So you can kind of see it in the video. But that was like, I guess that's what we know. Like we've kind of done songs live forever. So it was like, well, let's just like, I was over there. So I was like, why don't we just, actually it was my brother-in-law's idea. It was like, let's just like do something while we're there. And it made sense to just go on the roof for some reason. And none of us had ever even played the songs. Like we'd written and produced and kind of done them in the studio, but there was no plan. And we're so used to that. Like that's how we've been for 20 years. We just kind of jump in and do stuff. And so like the idea of jamming together was kind of, well, that we can do that. And like, it's funny, you see Joel playing bass and it's not like, I think we've kind of kept it how it was. He doesn't even know what he's doing on that song. Like he knows it because he's heard some, but it's like, we didn't like rehearse it. We just played it. And luckily enough, it's quite an easy song to play. But yeah, man, we just got up there and jammed and it just like, it came together so well. I was really stoked on it. And like, I don't know how many people are going to hear it, but for us, it was just wanting to just keep doing stuff that we thought was cool and creative and an opportunity to keep making. So
nice. Now, Matt, who are some of your musical influences, people you grew up listening to, you listen to now? Obviously, you talked about, I guess, the Beatles and Beach Boys, and who are some of those people?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff didn't come along. Like, I obviously knew who they were, but like, until I was about 15, I was obsessed with like pop punk. So I was a drummer in a band, but I did grow up in a house with the instruments. So I grew up, drums was like the first thing I gravitated towards, like had pots and pans. My grandpa gave me some sticks and then dad had guitars. There was an out of tune piano, all these things. So I just grew up like wanting to just play those strings and hit the things and like do all the stuff. And like, it's just something, I don't know if you play instruments, I'm assuming maybe you do.
Drums.
Yeah, come on, man. Like I was trying to explain the feeling of drums to someone the other day. There's just something about like, I don't know what it is. Like when you first discover the drums, it's like hitting a drum is like the craziest thing. It's just this feeling of like, I don't know what it is. And so I experienced that over and over again as a kid with different instruments. But I was just obsessed with pop punk. So then again, my brother-in-law started kind of feeding me music like the Beatles and the Police and racking my brain, a bunch of other stuff. I got into the Clash, bands that kind of did things that mattered. I guess would be a way of saying it. Like they kind of changed the landscape a bit. And then, so this album was kind of rediscovering, like what was cool about it was, yeah, like it's meshing my love of worship. And like I grew up loving, I didn't grow up loving Christian music, and I didn't really know what that was. I just knew my parents put it on in the car. But then when I discovered like worship, which is mostly what it is anyways, like I discovered like Live in the Can by Delirious. And that for me was like, oh, like mum gave it to me. I was like, I'm not listening to that. It's not cool. But like, and then like I listened to it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I was like 14 years old or something. And like Obsession was like, I don't know what this is, but like I guess I'm experiencing the presence of God in my bedroom. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so like that for me was like, it wasn't like I was trying to do anything, but I would worship in my bedroom because I would read. Like it's funny, I pulled out I'm rambling on, so tell me to be quiet if I'm talking too much. But I'm pulling out, we're moving house at the moment, so I'm pulling out all these old things. And there's this old Cross on the Switchblade book that I found last night. It's got my dad's name in it, 1974. But I read that thing when I was like a teenager. I probably read it like 6 or 7 times, like not joking. It just inspired me so much. And so like God was up to something in me at a young age. And then that just meshed into music. Like, you know, like this love of music God put in me. And so worship, and then like the idea of what we know as to be worship, like in music, but then all this music, man, like Radiohead stuff I just experienced, like discovered from other people, where I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And like rediscovering Radiohead throughout this project to me was crazy. Like,
yeah,
how wild is some of the stuff they're up to. And then like more recently, man, like Dejan put this thing out in 2021, whatever, absolutely. And I was like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen. Like, this is crazy. And there's just so many wildly talented people around. It's funny. Like, it's like music never dries up. It's just getting more and more kind of crazier and cooler and better. And like, I can't help but think like God's put that in everyone, whether they're using that to glorify him or not. Like God's put that creativity in people. So it depends what you use it for, I guess. But for me, I soak it up, man. I soak up like art, and like, I think that's something that I've fallen in love with all over again. I feel like I'm a teenager. Like, again, making this album, I felt like a teenager who just wanted to listen to everything and like, oh, what are you listening to? Is there something new I don't know about? And then like, man, there's so much great worship. Like you can see what God's up to. Like watching like, I keep saying her name in so many things. Like Abby Gambo is like I love listening to everything she's doing. She's insane. And she posted something about these kids in the OC, I think, Circuit Riders. There's a couple songs there. So like, it's so cool, like what the next generation's up to. And I just want to be a part of it. Like I feel like I'm getting older or whatever, but I'm like, God, I just want to be like a part of like what you're up to on the earth. So yeah,
doing this podcast, it's so cool to get to listen to a little bit of everything. And I could tell you this, and you probably know this too because you love music, but there's so much good in indie music right now. There's a bunch of indie artists out there that are killing it. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of worship and Christian music because there's just a lot out there, a lot of talent. Yeah, that's and I don't think it's like
pushing boundaries for the sake of just pushing boundaries, but I think it's just like, man, God's the creator of everything. Like he created the earth, he created like every gift that he's given us, like everything. And so I'm like, the thing I used to say when I was young was like, I want to like be like when I'm 80, look back on my life and know that people know that in my life, like, God is the creator of all things. And I still actually believe that. Like I want to like create the best thing I can, because like that to me is giving it everything, and that's obedience in like doing the hard work behind the songs, but also like wanting to glorify God through like art. Like the thing is like, is how like art's just something beautiful about it that does connect you to God in so many ways. Right. And so I don't want to make art God, but I do want to find God in the art, because I believe he's the creator of all things. So yeah, you watching people and what they're doing now, I'm just like, man, go for it. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, Matt, this is a fan-based podcast, and so we will have listeners and viewers writing questions to their favorite artist. And we had one, her name is Bella, and she is from Washington State, and she wants to know the story behind the song, the United song, I Surrender.
Yeah, come on. It feels very old now. It feels like a classic. That song was, how you doing, Bella? I Surrender was, when was that? Like 20, was it
Something.
2011? I don't know. Some years ago now. And I was kind of still part of the youth ministry. We had this thing called Encounter Fest, I think it was called at the time. The youth pastor at the time, it's probably a long way of telling the story. He was like, "Hey man, I want a song that's going to open up the whole thing." So there's probably like 4,000 kids coming for 2 days, and he's like, "I want a song that can open up the whole thing. It's going to be very like Holy Spirit centric." I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Yeah, I can do it. I'll try." And like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of having a stab at it. And I probably wrote 3 or 4 songs and kept showing him stuff. And he's like, "That's amazing. That feels so good." I'm like, "I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it." And literally, I was 24 hours out of the night starting, and I had a verse idea, and it's just funny. Like, I wasn't like more scared than I was at the time, but I called him. I was like, "I got nothing, man. Like, I don't know." He's like, "Just come around to my house. We'll eat some ice cream and hang out, and we'll just talk about," because he was speaking that night as well. So we just hung out, and then I kind of showed him that verse. He's like, "That's really special." He's like, "Just take the pressure off, bro." He's like, "Just see what happens." So I went home that night, and I stayed up to about 4 or 5 in the morning, writing and just kind of seeking God. And I don't even really remember like when everything was written. It's just kind of like, I guess I was just like, well, this has to be it because I'm running out of time. So we'll just see what happens. And then the next day I had to lead at this youth pastors thing before the event. They had all these youth pastors coming. So I was stressed out. I'm like trying to finish this song, trying to do this and that. And then through it all, like I remember reading a story about, I think someone was imprisoned for their faith. I can't remember exactly the story, but I just remember being like, what would I want to sing? Like, if that was me, like, what would be the cry of my heart? And it'd just be like, I still, like, through it all, I surrender. Like, I give you my life, God. And so that kind of became the thing. I was like, well, maybe that's the attachment to the song. And thinking about like the upper room and their experience and the Holy Spirit. And so, again, if I'm going too long, just tell me to be quiet.
You're good.
And then I got through the youth pastor thing. Rehearsal was coming up. I remember going up to this like little bathroom that we had. It was really like, a lot of reverb in there. So I was kind of singing the song. It felt cool. And then the bridge kind of just happened. I was like, oh, maybe that's the bridge. And so I had this, the whole song was there, but I didn't realize. I was like, I guess it is what it is. Got to rehearsal. And I was like, all right, well, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the bridge, here's the chords. And we played it once or twice. And it was like, it was like God just was in the room. It was like, I've never experienced this before. And it was still scary because I was like, oh, I've got to sing this in front of everyone soon. I don't know if it's going to work. But I was a little bit of confidence because I was like, well, I just experienced God, like his presence, like I always do, but like in the room, like through this moment that we just had. And so we did the night, and it was like, and honestly, it was just like, okay, God's hands on that. And I don't know what he's going to do with it, but yeah, I guess that's kind of the story of how it was made. And then what it's done around the world has been so cool to watch. Like, I feel like people connect to it the same way I do. That's when I like my favorite songs I've written and the ones that I've connected to in a certain way, just watching people have the same experience.
Sure. Wow. That's
Long
awesome.
answer.
No, you're good. Matt, this next part, we like to do, our listeners and viewers like this. It's just simply called favorite things. And so I'm going to give you a word and you tell me your favorite thing in that category. Sound good?
I'll try.
All right. First one, what is your favorite food?
I don't know. I'm a sucker for ice cream.
All right, ice cream. Well, that was another one on here. Okay, since you said ice cream, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, I don't know. There's a place called Messina here. And it's like gelato. So I don't know if that's real ice cream. But I tend to get their salted white, what is it? Salted caramel white chocolate chip. It's like my go-to. And then I'll get something else with it. So yeah, I need to stop eating ice cream though. Pizza's also a given.
There you go. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I'm still a kid. Like, I love Pixar movies.
There you go.
Man. I used to say Monsters Inc. So it's fun having kids because now I get to watch stuff with them.
Yeah. Favorite show to binge or watch?
Ooh, oh, man. This is like saying what's your favorite band, because I can never remember. It's like there's too many good things. I don't know. What are you watching? I'll see if that's mine.
Well, the Christian answer, The Chosen. And then
I love that show.
Yeah, it is a good show.
I'm all about it.
My favorite all-time show is The Office. That's my favorite show of all time.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I
mean, that's up there.
Yeah. Okay, you said favorite band, but what is your favorite artist of all time?
I just love the Beatles, the dynamic of the Beatles. I always say they're like, I mean, they're probably like so many people's favorite. It's just kind of what you say. But I'm always like, they can't be my favorite band. They're like almost like your brother. Like you don't have to say your brother's your best friend because he's your brother and he's closer than that. So it's like, but I love their dynamic. So it's just like John and Paul, like watching those guys, like how they were, and just seeing them, like they kind of represent so many facets of like people I know and our interactions. So I don't know, probably them. There's probably a better answer. I just can't think of any bands off the top of my head.
I watched a documentary not too long ago on Disney Plus on the Beach Boys, and when the Beach Boys started, they were like big, like the Beatles, and then the Beatles came along, kind of stole their thunder. So
Yeah, it was like
I was
a
like, well, that's
constant
interesting.
yeah, it was like Rubber
Clashing.
Soul, and then they made Pet Sounds. Oh, Pet Sounds and Rubber Soul. It was like this back and forward. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a squirrel moment. Sorry, but I heard something the other day and I had to Google it, but I was shocked. But the Beach Boys, I don't know if you knew this, when they back in the day, before Charles Manson went crazy, he was already crazy, but it was before he did his thing. He like wrote some songs and he was like playing with the Beach Boys and
I
stuff. Like,
didn't know
I
that.
was
That's
like,
crazy.
what?
That is wild.
I was like, I bet they separated themselves far away when all that went down.
Yeah, I bet they did. You know what's cool though is like we've had the opportunity to like was it Ocean Way? I can't remember what the name of the studio was, but like we've had the opportunity to like go to some of these studios that like Pet Sounds was recorded in, other things. And it's just like you got to pinch yourself. You're like, man, this is the room that this was. Frank Sinatra was down there. He rented out that part of the hallway for like years or whatever. And it's just like I just can't believe sometimes the things we've been able to like do or be a part of. It's been pretty cool.
All right, what about a dream collab?
Dream collab. My gosh, I need to like write answers down. I'm gonna take all your questions and put them in my phone and have answers so I know for next time.
There you go.
Dream collab. I don't know. Honestly,
Joe Houston.
Can't think. Yeah, I get to collab with him all the time. He's a dream.
There you go. Last one. Is there a favorite podcast that you listen to?
I've been listening to like the Christian Answer. I've been listening to the Bridgetown guys a lot. I think like it's I guess it's just their sermons from a Sunday, or like John Mark Comer. That to me is like I would go for a run, and that like is like sometimes I'm not even necessarily like I'm trying to take it in as much as I can. Sometimes it's just like really peaceful to kind of listen to and like whatever. But I think those guys are awesome. And then like I always find that he can be a bit whatever sometimes, but Conan to me is just so funny.
Conan, yeah, he's funny, definitely for sure. Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, this is a bit too much, but whatever.
Well, you passed, so congrats on that. Matt, your album's coming out on the 27th. What else is next for you, and how can our viewers and listeners keep up with you?
Yeah. Honestly, just this whole thing is a step of faith. Me and the family are kind of up and moving for a little bit. We're kind of just stepping out. Like we want to feel like life's been this for so long. It's like, well, let's like give it to God and see where he wants to take it now, which we have done. But now it's like, let's really step out and like trust God and take the girls, like my daughters, on the journey as well, me and my wife. So I don't know, as far as like the normal thing, like touring and stuff, I don't know. Yeah, I want to do these songs live somehow. But ultimately, I just want to be a part of what God's doing. And like for me, that is usually just being in a room and like helping people connect to the presence of God. So that, and then I want to keep writing songs. Like it burns in me to write songs for the church, but also this songs like this song's on Interlude, where it's like they're not necessarily going to work in that setting. So I've been able to toe the line between those worlds, I guess, with like United and worship, and so I want to keep doing that. And I've always just kind of dared to believe God's going to open the doors, so I'll just keep stepping through them.
Well, to wrap up, I'd like to see if you'd be willing to share something that God's been doing in your life recently that would help build our viewers and our listeners' faith.
Yeah, I think like how weighty is like the world we're in. Like I'm sure like over the centuries, everyone's experienced whatever, but like for me right now, like like last night even, I was just saying this on something else, like where I was taking the bins out, and this is probably like so many nights of the week for me. I'll go out and like where I live, the stars are just so bright, and so I'll just be like, look to the heavens, like if you're stressing out, or if you're struggling with like, I don't know, anxiety or whatever it is you're going through, for me, looking up and just realizing like it's just so easy for me to find perspective in it all when I look up and see God's creation and like, like how great they are. What an amazing song. But it's so true. Like the God of all creation who created the universe and the stars, to me, when I look up, it just gives me perspective and it gives me a fresh trust in God. And I usually I just pray the Lord's Prayer, like when I'm standing out there. Right now it's freezing cold. I'm waiting for my dog I take my dog out to go pee. I'm like, are you gonna go pee? And I'll just stand there and just look up and just be in amazement at the stars. But yeah, I just like, if that's you, like find amazement in like who God is, and just to me that builds trust and like courage. And so yeah. And then all the normal things: read your Bible, pray, be a good person.
Good stuff. Well, Matt, Interlude is out June 27th. Download it, stream it. Are you going to have this available on vinyl?
Yeah, I remember someone was like, it's not like it, no one really does that. But I'm like, what do you mean no one does that? Everyone wants to do that. It's like, of course I want vinyl. And like, I don't care if no one buys it. I'll buy it. Like, I just want it. We're doing it. So yeah, there's vinyl.
Nice.
We had to work on the international shipping because I was like, that's crazy. So they've figured it out. I know in America it's probably like whatever, but like I live in Australia. So when you're paying twice as much for shipping as you are for just the thing, I was like, that's not going to work. So we figured that out. But your listeners are probably mainly in America. So you guys are sweet. It's going to be good, easy for you to get. And it's probably available now. I don't know.
Yeah.